All right, we're back this week. We're going to finish up, hopefully, the electronics for our little project box that we did. All right, so this came today. It's a little LED strand of lights that is battery powered off of 3 AAAs. We'll probably go ahead and hook up a little circuit to basically, when it gets dark out, the lights will pop more. All right, here we go. Box here. Okay, here we go. Ooh, pretty lights. So, one issue with this setup, I think, and I don't think it's a problem per se, but ideally, I think what's happening is there's the switch, there's the resistor, and then there's each of the LEDs, dot, dot, forever. Back to the negative terminal of the battery. So ideally, each LED would have its own resistor to limit the current, because what happens is one of these could be, in how it's manufactured, it could suck a lot of the current through just one and blow it out. And again, ideally, what you would want to have is the battery, and then a resistor LED pair. All the way down. Alright, so what are we going to do? So we have the battery. We'll use that still. But what we're going to do is probably build a little circuit. So we'll do like little photo cell, and then we'll have a NPN transistor, and then what we'll do is take our LED circuit and so we'll have the switch, we'll have the resistor, we'll have all the LEDs. Oops. Alright, so we took the old hot glue gun, we put the LEDs in the bottom. Move this out of the way real quick. Ooh, that's a good idea, I'll show you about this in a minute. So anyway, so just test it out for right now. Got to physically turn the button on, but so we'll fix that circuit so that we don't have to take the bottom out every time we want to turn the light on. So anyway, lights on. Ooh, LEDs. So we hot glued it. I might go back in later and put a little staple or something there to hold it better, but for now. Alright, before I forget, because I had to change out SD cards in the middle of this because I ran out of room. One little trick, these little Altoid tins, the small ones, the tiny ones, are great for holding SD cards. So just a little tip, if you look for a cheap, inexpensive way to keep your SD card safe, plus give yourself minty fresh breath at the same time. Alright, so I had an idea. I think I remember mentioning this earlier, but I forgot about it. I'm going to put a layer of tin foil, aluminum foil, whatever, down on the bottom of the fake bottom. And then again, to help reflect some of the light back out through the box. So we'll see how that works.
Alright, so here's the circuit we're going to go with. So let's see here. We're going to use some screw terminals. We're going to basically cut the wire from the little LED kit we got. We're going to put the battery side into here, and it's going to go through a voltage divider. Basically, so we have a potentiometer here to kind of like tune in, you know, how dark we want this thing to, or how sensitive we want it to be to darkness. I was playing around with my, I had my resistance substitution box, which if you don't have one of these, I highly recommend. It kind of lets you play around with different resistances without having to, there we go, let's see if we can, yeah. So you can like put in different resistances into your circuit and see what works best. So for me, it looked like about like, you know, 30K, 35K of resistance up here worked best for the photodiode that I'm going to put down in here. Again, I'm going to put a screw terminal here so I can wire the, I can put the, basically put the circuit board somewhere safe, and then we'll just have a little wire going off to hold the little photo cell. Then the transistor to turn it on and off, and then the LED circuit, the other side that we cut, the LEDs will go on this side into the screw terminal here. So basically what we have is, let's see here, this circuit right here, and in the light there's the little photo cell back here. Put my finger over it. So finger of the photodiode, and that'll turn the LED on. So originally we were going to just do a piece of perf board, but you know, what's the fun in that? So we took the schematic, let's go back. Let's took the schematic, laid out the quick PCB, and then sent that to our milling machine, and let's see here. Let's zoom, there we go. And went ahead and cut out the circuit board. Alright, there's the board that we designed. Here it is, all hooked up, wired up, all soldered up. And let's see, we've got the power on, power supplies there. Alright, moment of truth. We'll go ahead and pretend it's dark out. Oh, there we go, lights are on. Gets bright again, lights are off. Alright, so that's working. We'll go ahead and now unhook this and put it in the box and connect it up to our LED strip. Alright, so we got it hooked up in here. There's the photodiode up in here. We'll figure out a way to put it in there permanently, but right now it's just taped in there. Alright, so everything's wired, everything's on, and we'll go ahead and simulate darkness. Alright, lights are on, lights are off. Success. Alright, so there's one big story this week, and to talk about it, I kind of felt it was appropriate to, because it's a high-tech, digital, electronic, computer topic, I thought it was kind of fitting for where the story is going to go, to come out here to this old barn, surrounded by old mechanical devices, to talk about it. And I think you'll see why. Alright, so the big news for this week is the end of a certain number of provisions in the Digital Millennium Copyright Act that was passed a few decades, more than a decade ago, definitely at least a decade ago, that basically screwed consumers. Everyone pretty much believes that when you buy something, you own it and you can do with it as whatever you wish. So, you know, if you want to stop, you know, I get it, there was, you know, piracy is an issue. This was too far the extreme to solution. So, in fact, I think it probably did more to encourage piracy than it does to prevent it. Because here's the reality. I'm willing to buy something if it's easy, if it's a reasonably priced, because it's just simpler. It is very freaking easy to just, go onto iTunes and buy something, but then I want to be able to do it with whatever I choose. If tomorrow I decide to go with an Android device, I've bought the song once. I'm buying the song. I'm supporting the artist. Just kicked in this week. Now it's finally at least legal to hack your own devices, even your car. So this is a Wired article I'll read. There's a lot of other articles out there. He says, basically, you may have thought you owned your digital devices. You were allowed to do with whatever you like with them. In the truth, even for possessions as personal as your car, PC, or insulin pump, you risk a lawsuit every time you reverse engineered its software guts to dig up software vulnerabilities. Now, again, the average consumer was not hacking their devices to dig up security vulnerabilities. They were doing it to customize and meet their own needs, which, again, has always been, you bought something. I mean, think about the 50s with the hot rod culture. You bought your car, you tinkered with it, and it's nothing different today with digital devices. Just because it's not mechanical, it's more electronic, and it's easier to control things, doesn't mean that you take away the consumer's right. The Library of Congress's Copyright Office last October 2015, basically said, hey, you know what? If you bought something, you own it. Circumventing any sort of, the manufacturer's security is not illegal. If you buy it, you own it. You can do with it what you want without having to fear being sued by the company that makes the device. Basically, you're restoring the balance to the force of consumer rights. Okay, so why is this important now? Because we're moving in a world where things are not ran purely by, gas and spark and air and pulleys and gears, mechanical. We are moving to where everything's going to be digital, electrical, electronic. Look at your cars. The Tesla, the Leaf, all these vehicles are going to be predominantly electronic or electrical driven and or combination of. And it's not gas and spark and pulleys and gears and camshafts. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have the right to tinker with your car. So basically, we're preventing the fact that just because things are digital doesn't mean you give up the right to be able to tinker with it. And so this is the first step, I hope, of, short of full outright repeal of the DMCA, of restoring confidence to consumers that when you buy something, you own it. And just because it's digital, it doesn't mean that you give up those rights. Just because it's easier to control things. Just because it's easier to do something doesn't mean you have to do it or should even do it. So with that, we're going to wrap up this week. As always, you can head over to gearsofresistance.com. Find the old episodes we've done for both Gears of Resistance and Steam Power Podcast. And with that, thank you all very much for watching. Until next time, stay quirky, keep it steamy, and hack on.